Welcome to the Intern Academy Gradcast. It's the culmination and continuation of decades of ministry being poured into each new generation. Listen in to intern graduates from all generations and learn what it really means to be a part of this pipeline of leadership that is changing the world one internship at a time.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of the Gradcast. We are so excited that you decided to spend an evening with us, talking together with grads, learning from each other, and growing together in our various ministries. So I'm joined again tonight by my three co-hosts. We have Abby Hills. Abby, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
And then we're joined by Kaylee, who has returned to us from her sabbatical. That took place during episodes 3 and 4. And then it's good to see you. And we're joined also by Big Nate / Extra Credit, who has been a faithful attendee. Shots fired in Kaylee's direction. Anyways, Nate, it's good to see you, man. How are you?
Good to see you too. Yeah, my sabbatical will be episodes 7 and 8, so super excited for that.
Noted.
Noted. Excited to be here.
There we go. And then we're joined tonight by Trevor Moody. He's going to be our special guest for tonight. Trevor, if you don't mind, sir, tell us a little bit about yourself, your connection with IA, the ministry role that you find yourself in. Help our audience get to know who Trevor Moody is.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm Trevor. I currently am a youth pastor up in Niles, Michigan. And I first found IA because my youth pastor at the time was an IA coach, and we had interns go into the past. And so when I started feeling the call to ministry, I was like, hey, man, I'm not sure what God's doing right now, but I think I might be called to ministry. And so he plugged me into Intern Academy and did one internship and found myself doing another one, and then right afterwards found myself going into ministry full-time in student ministry.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that it's great to have you here, Trevor. We're going to start in what is typical Gradcast fashion with our very, very serious question that we just like to get out of the way. You know, we like to have our guests grapple with them right at the front, so that way
strip the Band-Aid off,
coast for the rest of the interview. And that question is, if you had a dessert that you had to pick, that you had to choose, possibly to indulge, in for the rest of your life, a favorite dessert, what might that dessert be? I think we'll start with Trevor, and then we'll hit Abby and Kaylee and Nathan, and then we'll go from there. Trevor?
Yeah, this one is actually pretty easy because I have one snack and dessert that's my go-to. And I think anyone who knows me knows it's soft pretzels. I don't know if that counts as a dessert, but soft pretzels is my go-to snack / dessert.
Interesting.
I think that counts.
Cinnamon, like with cinnamon on it, salt, both, neither.
Ooh. I enjoy a good plain, and then have you ever dipped it in icing, like cake icing? Oh,
Yes.
so good. So good.
Wow.
It elevates it. Yeah.
Now I'm hungry. That sounds really good.
There you go.
Good. I'm next.
Abby, it's you.
Okay, so it's weird because I like a lot of desserts. So how do I pick one? But I really love a good German chocolate cake.
Okay.
I like, it's so good. It's chocolate, it's got coconut, it's got chocolate, I think it's got pecans. I don't know. It's really good. And you can't go wrong with it anywhere you get it. That's what I'd say. Yeah.
Did you mention that it was chocolate?
Yeah, it's chocolate.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
And then more chocolate. Yeah. Yeah.
Kaylee,
That's awesome.
what are you thinking?
Oh gosh. I think I'm just going with the classic cookie. I love the simplicity of a cookie. Chocolate chip is probably the route I go, but I even love the icing store-bought like sugar cookies that people love them or they hate them. Yeah, I'm one of those. So the classic cookie, that's my answer. Yeah.
Where like which place has the best chocolate chip cookie?
I think there's a place called Insomnia Cookies here in the city. I don't know
Yeah.
if they're
Yep.
everywhere, but I love it. I'm not a crumble fan. I don't know if y'all are.
Oh,
It
what? They're
overdoes
so
the
good.
cookie. No, a cookie should be simple, and that's too
No.
much.
That's
Okay.
okay. We'll agree to
Yeah.
disagree.
Yeah,
Insomnia
yeah.
is good too.
Real quick, I do have to ask, do you like a hard, crunchy cookie, or do you like it like nice and soft?
Soft. I'm a soft
Okay.
route. Yeah. Warm, soft. Keep it. Mhm.
I feel like it has to be warm if it's going to be soft. One cannot
Yeah.
simply be or enjoy
Mhm.
a soft, lukewarm cookie.
It's the only right
I think
way.
there's also scriptural precedent for that, but
Mhm.
anyways,
Somewhere,
I digress. I digress.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the store-bought icing cookies is a little far-fetched to
Mm.
be a favorite, but
Amen.
Sorry, guys.
we'll
Sorry.
digress for that. Mine is
Didn't mean to let you down.
with absolutely no hesitation, white chocolate raspberry cake or cheesecake.
Oh.
Wow.
Absolutely no hesitation. Favorite place to get it is Cheesecake Factory. They just do it correctly. And Publix also has a good store-bought one as well. If you're looking for recommendations, I'd be happy to send you links.
Some of
Please
our
do.
northern friends may not be familiar with the beauty that is a Publix grocery store.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
you're missing out. I'm so sorry.
big time. They got good cookies, by the way, Kaylee. Anyways,
They
Oh.
do.
One day.
very well. Yeah. So, my answer would probably be like in general, um, something that's like widely accessible is a cherry pie. There's nothing like a good old fashioned
Right.
cherry pie of the warmer variety with a vanilla scoop of ice cream atop its peak. There is nothing like a cherry pie, in my opinion, unless you have been at Salem Church of God and you met Miss Claudia Triplett, who is the wife
What a
of
saint.
the senior pastor. Great couple, but she makes these things called scones. We can debate about the pronunciation later, but she makes these things called scones. They're absolutely delicious. And at Salem, it's notorious that she does not give her recipe away to anybody, right?
It's true.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Trevor can attest to this. Trevor,
Yeah, I
have
can
you had
back
the
you up.
pleasure?
I've had the pleasure, and it's a blessing.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Definitely when you're not expecting it, and they just come out of nowhere, nice and warm. Oh, they are so good.
They are fantastic. But the good thing about those is before we left Salem, I guess when they weren't really sure if they'd see us again, the triplets invited my wife and I over, and instead of just having a good meal, which we did, we had a great meal, and then sending us on our way, they took us into the kitchen, and I wasn't sure if we were going to get whacked or if we were going to see some mystery revealed to us, and it was the latter. Miss Claudia taught my wife how to make her scones.
Wow.
So we
That's
have
huge.
made them several times here in Florida, and they
That's
are
simple.
the bomb.com.
Drop the recipe.
I've been sworn
Don't
to secrecy.
gatekeep.
Pop it in the
Sworn to
podcast
secrecy.
description.
Yeah.
But like keep it as a
Yeah, there
secret
you go.
link.
There you go. Well, the thing about those
Subscribers get
scones is,
access.
yeah, there you go. You have to subscribe to our premium membership platform.
Subscribe on Patreon for the secret link.
There you go. There you go. So now the problem with those scones is when I'm around them, are you ready for this? I need to have discipline to gird myself so I don't overindulge in the beauty that are Miss Claudia Triplet scones. And so why we decided to have Trevor here was so we could discuss some of the practical disciplines like not overindulging in scones that we can have in our ministries that can help us to make the most of our impact wherever the Lord has us. So Trevor, now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this interview,
Yeah, let's
and
do it.
we're going to get ready to pick your brain, man. So I guess we'll get started.
That was a great transition. I'm really proud of that.
I try.
So our first question for you, Trevor, is what are some practical disciplines that You practice to sustain yourself in ministry. Some examples we kind of were thinking like sleep, meeting with mentors, certain types of fellowship, and how important is it for you to implement those things into your life?
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, it's kind of been a journey on getting some things set up. Uh, I now actually like having it being a huge part of my life right now is really like looking at my sleep and making sure like I'm getting a set amount of sleep every night, like waking up and sleeping at the same time every day has been so helpful. And um like really being intentional about it. Because I used to just like I would stay up all night.
Mhm.
I'm a gamer, so like and I'm a night owl. So like they don't really go well together when you have to work in the
You and
morning.
my husband would be best friends. He's the exact same.
Not at all.
And so like, oh man, I can't tell you how many times I've like been playing video games, looked at a time, it's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. or something. I'm like, oh man, I gotta get up at like 6 a.m. and like wake up. I'm tired. And then like hoping to like make it through after 5 coffees in the morning
Oh
to
boy.
to get going and work. And it wasn't really sustainable or great. Um, but sleep is one that it was the first thing I started to really prioritize in ministry, which was truly game changer for me. Second one really came out of second thing I really started to implement was um, I I'm not even going to attempt this person's name because I know I'm going to like butcher it. But there was a quote I remember hearing, and the guy's whole thing in this book was talking all about like living the life that like you wake up wanting to live. Basically, is the gist of it. Not like waking up and just always thinking about all the minute things you have to do in life, but waking up and being excited for things in life. And so really organizing my schedule and my time in a way um that I can find like many things of happiness throughout it. One being like I love coffee and warm drinks and candles and things like that. Like I'm a sucker for anything cozy. So like the first thing I do when I get into the office is I make I have an espresso machine in my office. So like I make me a French vanilla latte every morning and it's so good. It's so fun. For me, it's fun. I don't know if I'm actually doing it correctly, so like don't ask me to
It's correct in
make
your
you one.
mind, so it matters.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
tastes good for me. And so I love doing that. At night, I have you're talking about overindulgence. Like I have a set amount, like I limit myself on how much I can play video games every night.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I will overindulge. But it makes what I found is setting those boundaries and those limits. At first, I thought was going to actually be awful. Like, oh man, like I just want to play video games and like have fun. But I actually found myself having more fun in that set amount because I know what to expect every day. And I know I'm gonna have fun because I'm not spending hours at a time on it and just kind of like almost losing the fun and the hope, or not really the hope, but the excitement that
Yeah,
came from that hobby or joy. Um, so
that's
yeah,
good.
just finding those like small little like pieces of joy throughout my day has been absolutely amazing. That I have a habit of like calling my friend. I have a different friend I call every day. It's just so fun. Um, and then kind of goes in with like Sabbath a little bit, but I always have one day every week where I have no work scheduled. And it's really just like I'm gonna just do whatever I want. If I want to go eat Panda Express, I'm gonna go eat me some Panda Express. If I want to walk around Barnes and Nobles, I'm walking around Barnes and
Oh,
Nobles.
good one. Yeah.
If I want to just sit in sweatpants all day long and light a candle and watch movies, oh, I'm doing that. Popping some popcorn on.
Like
So I found like, yeah, prioritizing sleep and just setting a good like healthy excitements of joy throughout my day, and just having a single day where I just find time to just like truly rest and enjoy life. I think that's been the biggest game changer for me, is just finding ways to truly enjoy life over trying to go into the productivity hustle or try to see what I can do next or worry about something special, but really just give thanks to God for what I have and what he's given me. And for some of just the small pleasures, like a latte in the morning on a rainy day. It's been pouring here all day. So there's
Makes it
just
even
something about
better.
storm. Yes.
Yeah.
That's my mindset.
Yeah.
That's so good. I feel like anytime I hear anyone talk about like practical disciplines, it's like the typical have a good diet, drink water, exercise. So I really appreciate that you actually gave unique answers, like the pieces of joy. That's so good and that's so important. And like, especially being in ministry. And so I'm curious when it comes to just you implementing these things, like you talked about sleep, Sabbath, pieces of joy. How did you, because those are things that are learned. And
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we all, when it comes to these things, at some point had to learn, okay, we need these. These are good things. So, what was kind of your journey of learning how to implement these disciplines into your life?
Yeah. Yeah. There's something John Mark Comer says a lot. He says, start where you are, not where you think you should be. Um, and like I took that, for instance, with sleep. I think I knew that I needed a lot of sleep and I should be good with it. But at first I found myself just stressing about it a lot, or trying to put some like extra, like, because I fell in love at first with like the self-help, like productivity, wake up at 5:30 for some reason. I still don't understand why people do that, for like just
Me either.
because. Um,
Terrible.
but I found like I just had to make small little changes every day. It was never anything huge. And I just had to be honest and reflect on myself of like, what is it that brings me happiness and joy? Um, and just like have fun with that, and have fun with that. Like, I find that I'm an introvert. I love my like alone time. So like I love setting up my apartment to be incredibly cozy because I'm going back to my apartment every day. So like I love the candles. I love spending time watching movies. I love buying a new candle from Joanna Gaines. Joanna Gaines, if you're listening to this, I've spent so much money on your products. I think you should sponsor me. But like, yeah, just taking it small piece at a time, I think was one of the biggest things for me, and finding those because those small joys just kind of started happening. For the gaming, I just started having to set boundaries, and that was before I ever had a coffee routine or any sort of morning thing that I would do. My sleep was still a little bit whack at that time, but then I started to set boundaries for the gaming, and then my sleep started to slowly come together like weeks later. And then a little bit after that, I started getting into like actually making good coffee and not just like drinking whatever Folgers was in the office at the time, but like actually making coffee in the morning. And there was just something about like the simpleness, the slowing down from it, that I just loved and cherished and just really wanted to hold on to. It was just sometimes boring, probably for some people that had to sit there and go through all of it. But I just found gratitude in the slowing down and the simplicity of it all.
Trevor, you touched on something a little while ago in regards to specifically like, boundaries that you set for like gaming. Isn't it interesting? Two things that I just kind of like am in amazement of, like, as far as humans are wired, that paradoxically, when you set yourself with boundaries, you find more freedom
Yeah,
than
absolutely.
those of us who may struggle with that. And another thing you said too is just, if it's okay that I describe it this way, like little rituals that you have, such as making the coffee or making, just enjoying the environment that you may have at your apartment or home. Like, it's just really interesting to me that we are wired in such a way that those things are, like I'm a tea guy, right? So I don't so much do the coffee or the espresso, but like, the act of like brewing tea and you know what I mean? It's like it's not simple, but it's simple. But it's like a ritual that I have that is reminds me of the little things in life. And so yeah, that's just really good. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
Go ahead, Kaylee.
I like how you tied it into gratitude. Just taking those moments to be like, thank you, God, for the simple things and these little things. And I think the enemy like truly tries to keep us so busy and steal those moments where like life doesn't have to be so serious all the time, but we can just take a step back and be like, God, thank you for this hot cup of coffee, or thank you for this moment I got to laugh with a coworker or a friend. Like those are truly like they feed my spirit when I let myself look to Jesus in that. And so I loved how you brought that up, like gratitude. That was huge. That's awesome.
And another thing too, our last episode, if you haven't seen it, both to Trevor and our audience, you should definitely go watch it. But our last episode, we talked primarily about spiritual disciplines, but it's another thing too. The spiritual disciplines and these practical disciplines that we're kind of talking about blend together so well. Even in the example that Kaylee gave, with just the little things like physical, practical disciplines that you have, rhythms and routines, cause spiritual, just reminders that you have that really affect your spirit, I think. So just thought that'd be cool to mention, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyways. No, it's super cool.
We know that one of the hardest things about helping people get into ministry is having a way to point them forward after they've felt their call to ministry, especially with students who are in high school or even some in middle school who are thinking about what it's like to maybe work in ministry or feeling like God is calling them to be in vocational ministry. And we want to give you a tool from us here at Intern Academy that's called our Called to Ministry devotional. It's something that you can go through, especially you youth pastors out there, or people who work in church ministry, or even if you just have a middle schooler or a high schooler in your life who feels like they might be called to ministry. We want to challenge you to use this tool in ministry with them, that you are able to walk through it with them and talk about what it might be like for them to seek out that call. It's completely free, 100% something that we just want to give you as a tool and be able to just make sure that we can see the next generation be a part of what God is calling them to do. That's what Intern Academy is all about, being a pipeline of leaders that we recreate ourselves. We see God move in the ministry that we're doing and see the next generation come up right behind us. If you want more information about the Call to Ministry devotional, make sure you check out our website, internacademy.net. And now back to the Gradcast.
Yeah, I mean, both of these things are so cool because they're so intertwined with one another. And it's so cool for us to learn how one benefits the other. And also, I think it's important we realize that we can't have one good without the other. And I think for it to be something good, we have to have both of those clicking on the same level. And so the practical discipline of having a day off and being like, I'm going to Panda Express. I'm not cooking. I'm going to get food, coming back. I usually every Monday night light a candle and watch a movie and go get takeout somewhere. So we probably have close to the same routine. But also the difference is last time I made an espresso, milk went everywhere and burned me. So that's been something I haven't done.
It's tragic.
But it was rough. But what's really cool is that these practices really, they make a difference in our lives. So when it comes to you, how have these made a difference when it comes to your ministry? When it comes to the youth ministry you lead, the other pastors on staff, um, why do these make a difference for you?
Yeah, I think for me it really started to make a difference when kind of like what you said, right? Combine like these habits and like our spiritual disciplines put together. I really started to find that sometimes our habits can sometimes go against what our spiritual disciplines are hoping to do. You know, if I found that in solitude, trying to implement more solitude in my life, daily solitude, like small moments like that. But if the rest of my life is absolute chaos and hurry, yes, that solitude is nice, but it will never be as great as if my life finally started to slow down. And I think that's what these habits really did for me. It helped me start to take moments to slow down in my life. Um, it allowed me to, when I started to appreciate the smaller moments, and those things allow me to appreciate more the smaller moments when it came to small conversations with people that I would have, whether that's with our staff members or even if I'm just out at a coffee shop or whatever it may be, just having more of that patience, that gentleness to be able to just like sit there and be like, I'm not in a rush. Like, I'm pretty used to this. Like, I'm not in a rush state right now. Um, and yeah, and just remembrance of how grateful I am for so many things, you know. I think it's so easy, at least for me, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, like when something does not go the way that I planned or to my expectations, like almost feeling really disappointed in my day. But then just like looking back and being like, no, like I had some good moments today. Like I had some
Yeah.
moments that were actually really good. And just a constant reminder of how good God has been throughout my life and even in the day to day of my life as well. And so, yeah, I think it's really helped me to be able to slow down, to be able to become a better listener. Within that, it's kind of been like a side effect, if you want to say, of that. And even with sleep, I think we all know like how impatient or irritable or like uh how much like we've just had a whole conversation, but in your head you're like almost just daydreaming about something else. And you're like, wait, what was that whole conversation about? And like totally forgetting like so yeah, it's just allowed me to be more with the people and be intentional with the people that are in front of me.
Yeah, that's really awesome. You're touching on an idea that was first introduced to me by Rondell Broom, actually, who's now the youth pastor of Salem. And he tried to implement in his own life what he referred to as stop your feet conversations. Because I think he noticed even in the office, he would walk, and everybody does it, like you're kind of hinting at here. You know, everybody does it to some degree. But where you're walking and somebody says hi, it's like a scripted thing that our culture
Yeah.
just kind of has memorized, where it's like, hi, how are you? Oh, I'm well. How are you? Oh, I'm well, thanks. And it's like you, as you're walking,
Yeah,
like you're yelling
absolutely.
down the hallway at somebody how well you're doing, because it's just what we do, because we are like not conditioned to stop our feet and talk. So I have my own idea as to why that is, but why do you think that the two are connected, listening and just stopping and being in the moment? Do you have any thoughts on why you think that might be? Or
Yeah, I think a part of it is we almost, at least for me, like I for sure think there's an issue of like if I don't feel like I'm actually ready for a conversation or my mind is mentally somewhere else, I'm rushing somewhere.
Yeah.
My mind is not in having a conversation with this person. And so I have that quick response of just saying like, oh yeah, I'm doing good, and like hope, because if you actually are honest, or like be like, yeah, it's been an interesting morning, or oh man, like yeah, this drive was just really weird. I just woke up feeling like anything. It then it's almost like, okay, now my mind is no longer needs to be on whatever it is or wherever I'm going or being in a hurry or um on to the next thing. I now have to be like intentionally with this person. And I think that's a piece of it. I think also we've just started to start to almost come out of touch of just being around with people. And I definitely found that I've recently been a part of a group that meets every Monday, and we hang out. And there's for sure, if there is not something specifically there at first for us to do, whether it's eating, a game, or questions, or whatever, we s- I can tell there's a little bit of like a, all right, what do we talk about? Like, what is it? The first thing is always like, how was work today? How was your day? Like the really like surface, like simple question. It's like, oh, we all work today. So how was
Yeah.
work for you? And so I think it's a piece of hurriness and busyness, which is a prevention, and also just like losing touch of community and being in touch with just having conversations with people at the same time.
I think that's really a good way to put it. I'd be interested in hearing some of my co-hosts' opinions too on this. I wonder, an idea that comes to my mind is just embracing the awkward.
Mm,
So I had to interact with a bunch of like middle school, high school students recently, and I noticed that the type of student they were, nothing against them, it's just their personalities, but they were what I would call, and I don't mean this negatively, but just wallflower. They're very
Mm.
quiet, very reserved.
mm,
It's post COVID. I feel like we're all reeling in some degree from social
yeah.
contact. Um, but one of the things that was told to me when I was given advice on how to interact with students like that was to embrace the awkward.
Absolutely.
And so, I just wonder, Nate can probably also really give some valuable insight to this with his new position. How important is embracing the awkwardness of what can be community, especially in the church world, especially for students who are probably homeschooled, no offense. How important does that play into your ministry? Like, is that something that you have to find yourself doing, and are you better off for it?
Yeah, I embracing the awkward is something that I do every Sunday and I do every Wednesday. Every Sunday, I'm with kids who will ask a question and can pin a hole in whatever you're saying within 3 seconds. And they ask a question, and you sit there going, "Oh, that's a good question. Why have I never asked that before?" And then on Wednesdays, I'm with our middle schooler and high schoolers, who just in today's generation, and this isn't all of them, but COVID has brought out the awkwardness in a lot
Mm,
of this generation. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about this next generation that's upcoming. And not just because they are awkward, because I'm awkward too, but I think what we can do is we embrace this together. And I think the moment we put this new generation to the side is where we struggle with that. And where they're going to struggle with growth because of that. And I love that you're a youth pastor, and I know youth pastor stories can just be absolutely insane. And we don't even have enough time for that. But it is something that we should be passionate about when it comes to
mm,
this next generation. And I think that's why I've fallen in love with Intern Academy so much. It's because they invest in this next generation because they see the importance of it.
mm.
And it's so cool to watch all of that happen.
Yeah. I kind of touching off, like coming off that too. Like, I think it's so important for us as ministry leaders to demonstrate that
Mhm.
for students. But also just like, there's for sure a little bit that I can feel when I go on a Sunday and I'm hanging out with the congregation or something, like you can tell there's a little bit of a separation. I think too, as ministry leaders, it's hard for us to be a little bit of real with people because it's like, oh, you're the pastor, so like things should be going great for you. Like you should be,
Mhm.
happy and everything, and but life is still hard,
Mhm.
and there's moments that, yeah, we struggle. There's moments where I wake up and I'm just not feeling ready for the day. And I'm for
Mhm.
sure more irritable than normal or uh more impatient or whatever it may be. But I think it's also on us too as ministry leaders to help show that in a healthy way
Mhm.
to not just our adult congregations, but definitely for our next generation coming up, showing them like what it means to have good conversations with people,
Yeah.
healthy conversations.
Yeah, that's really good. Um, this is our last, how should I put it, scripted question. So I'll field that to you, and then we'll have some time in case any of my co-hosts want to give some final thoughts. But we touched on different practical disciplines, and the need for them, especially in today's cultural context, in a world post-COVID. But talk to us a little bit, Trevor, about what you would see as, you know, practical ways we could implement these, at the risk of saying practical twice in one sentence, practical disciplines,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah, I think it's that going off that John Mark Comer quote again, right? Start where you are, not where you think you should be. Um, if your sleep is absolute whack like it was for me starting, um, randomly trying to get 10 or 9 hours of sleep in a single night may be good for the first night. But you'll quickly find that like it's probably going to be a little bit hard if that's not something your body's used to. Um, and a part of it is first learning who you are and your body type a little bit too. Um, like I said, like I love tea, but tea's not my thing. It's more your thing, Charles.
I
But
vibe with it.
it's good. But like for me, I'm a latte person in the morning. So
Mhm.
uh find what it is that brings you joy and then bring God into it
Mm.
as a reminder of gratitude, right? When you take that drink of coffee, bring God into it and say,
Mhm.
God, thank you for this drink. Thank you for the comfort that I've been blessed to be able to drink this in the morning. Um, it doesn't even have to be long. It could literally just be like a quick sentence of just thank you
Mhm.
and bring God into those small habits of joy that you already have in your life and just being honest with the things that truly do give you joy in life versus what you may just be doing as like, oh, other people are doing this, so like I should be enjoying this too. Like finding what it is that truly brings you joy and just slowly evaluating your day by day. Because my Monday looks very different from my Tuesdays, which are very different from my Wednesdays, which are very different from my Thursdays. So it's taking that step each day by day and slowly just evaluating what is it that truly gives me joy? What are the small habits that I'm already doing currently? And then how can I bring God into those now? And for me, it was a simple prayer after every single thing. Um, Actually, the first person who taught me that was actually more talking on the lines of like habits and just minute things that we do every day from like even just driving, we all are often driving to work and back, are simple things that we can just say, hey, God, keep me protected on this car drive today. And on your way back home, or when you get there to your location, thank you for keeping me safe here. And then when you drive away, same thing, to the coffee, to going to the gym, starting a run, watching a movie, just all the small things. I'm not that intense with it as I probably should be. Mainly because I just sometimes forget. But I have found that a routine pit stop to slowly implement in my life that brings me joy. So yeah, find those pit stops of joy in each of your days and figure out what that is for you and what it is that you're already doing and how you can implement more gratitude and joy into what you're already doing.
Great stuff.
It's so
really
good.
Great stuff. Yeah, I think it's easy for us to look down on the small things, but when we look at the grand scheme of our life, like I forget, I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about how much time the average individual will spend brushing their teeth over the course of a lifetime. And I think it was like 80 to 90 days straight. That's how much time you spend brushing your teeth. So do that with dishes, do that with clothing, with laundry, do that with cooking, do that with walking, do that with all these different things. And there's so many opportunities. It's a whole nother mission field for ourselves, to be a faithful minister to our own needs, so we can be even more faithful to the needs of the people that we're ministering to. So Trevor, great stuff. Also, to those who are interested in tea making, find a way to get in contact with me. I will say it's easier on the bowels in the morning, but I digress. Trevor, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you to my co-hosts. For the interest of time, I think we should probably wrap it up. It's been a great discussion, and keyword discussion. So the folks that are watching this, I hope you guys can see how much community plays of such a significant role, not only in like a church congregation, but to those who are leading church congregations or different groups of ministry areas, ministering to each other. And we can do that through Intern Academy. And I hope that we are making a good start in doing this on this podcast. So, alrighty. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you will join us next time on the next episode of the Gradcast, where we will undoubtedly have another great grad to share some more wisdom with us, like Mr. Moody did this evening. So, Trevor, thank you again. And we'll see you folks
Thank you.
next time.
See ya.